On Tuesday, we did this May the 4th pencil carving thing. It's not May the 4th anymore. And yesterday was Cinco de Mayo, and today is Nothing Day, May the 6th. Well, what's going on May the 6th? Let's check it out. May 6th. Now, I did say I was going to do Wikipedia Gregorian calendar, 239 days remain. Oh boy, a lot of stuff happened today. Steve Jobs unveils the first iMac. And a whole bunch of other, well, a lot of horrific stuff too. Well, I did say that I was going to do like a Star Wars, like those spaceships. What are those spaceships they got? Let's look. I don't really remember the name of them all. I remember there's the X-Wing, and then there's the little round guy. Not underrated. I want to do pretty well-known ships. Starship, spacecraft, crafter ship, interstellar travel. You know what? Let's just go to images. Oops. Images. Hey, everybody. I'm trying to figure out if we can make a quick spaceship. This can get pretty tedious. I don't know if I want to take it to final, but we can have a little bit of fun. You know what we could do? It would be... this might give us a better... Okay. Coolest Star Wars spaceships. Sure, just give me the names. Come on. X-Fighter, Star Destroyers... Okay, no. Although if we do this one, we could maybe turn that into a pyramid head. That'd be neat. Armored transports. Oh, we can do a little pod racer. That might be fun too. Seriously, all I need is, oh yeah, the TIE Fighter. Duh. There we go. We got some schematics here. Open a new tab. Let's go ahead and say save image as right onto my desktop. Good enough. So if we wanted to model something, wait for it to download. There we go. Let's go in here to texture, import, desktop. I like using, for some reason, I like using Spotlight. I don't know why that is exactly, but if you needed to, I'll also go over here to your intensity and then drag it to the right so you can get rid of all the black pixels so you don't have any transparent pixels if you have a very dark image. And then we're going to go in here, and I guess we'll just start. So at Z to go out of X symmetry here, I'm going to go into my palette. Grab a sphere 3D? Sure. Go into edit mode, make polymesh 3D, turn on X symmetry, and turn on my floor so we can see, yep, Z forward. So this is where I want to be forward, and I'm just going to position this right here. We're in edit mode, right? Make polymesh 3D. And then we have X symmetry turned on. I'm immediately going to go in here to RGB, turn off Z add, and just paint that on there. Look at that, we're almost done. Easy. Modeling is really easy. I don't know why people get so caught up in it. That's almost all you have to do. Next thing I'm going to do is go in here to Movie, Timeline, Show. Go ahead and set a little thing here so we can model this. And then for the top view, we can go over here. Let's go ahead and turn off our floor now that we know how we're oriented in space. And we'll go ahead and set this view, like so. And then I suppose that's the back view. We can go over here and we can set this back view. Looks like it gets even smaller. It's probably not going to be very useful. I probably should have made this a little bigger when we started, but now I can use this to toggle between them. As far as if these match up, you know what, I guess if we do the front wing, let's do this. So we're going to go all the way back here, and I'm going to go to the side. I'm going to go in here and insert a cube on either side, although I want this to be straight. So what I may do is go over here to Picker, Orientation, and just tap this once just to make sure that it's straight on here, no matter what. I don't want it to inherit the surface normal, basically. I was going to pull this out, hold down Shift, and then do a split mask points. And then I'm going to go ahead and set this back in here, and we'll scale this back. Let's go ahead and turn on LSim for our local symmetry here, and scooch this over, scale it up. And there we go. We basically have one of these wings here. And we want to get, maintain that shape. Let's turn on polyframe. Let's go over here to, oh, come on, Skin Shader 4. And I'm going to go into my Z Modeler brush, BZM, insert, multiple edge loops. I'm going to put one right down the middle, and then I'm going to bevel that edge loop. Just hover over an edge, hit the space bar, and then, you know what, let's go ahead and turn on, let's do this. Geometry Modified Topology, mirror and weld in the X and Y to get a midline, and then I'm going to go in here to transform and turn on symmetry in the X and Y as well. So as I mask and move this top one here, let's go to Unmatched Mesh Center, invert that. Oops. It'll go ahead and do the bottom as well. And then I can hold down Control and just drag out an extra edge loop. So there we go. We got that side view. Now, the other view is going to be a little different. So I don't have that view snapped to, but we know how high this is supposed to be. So we can assume that if I match the height, then I can go through here and match the depth as well. Now let's go ahead and store us a movie in here too. Now that we have all our movie timelines stored, we're going to go in here to movie timeline, turn off, and then hold down Control Alt, go to Unmatched Mesh Center again, and then we'll just kind of pull this out. And we may need to pull these in as well, just a tiny bit. Again, super tiny reference photo, but I think we're golden. And again, well, we can't really paint on that because we don't have enough verts to grab all that information, but there we go. Close. Okay. Hey everybody, thanks for showing up. John Costello and John Yu, 2 Johns already in here. Yeah, I'm not even sure if I'm up right now, so you got me beat for sure. I may still be waking up. Cool. What happened to my Quadro? Like my reference viewer? It didn't go anywhere. You recommend learning how to get a handle on basics of box modeling before getting into the nuts and bolts of sculpting. I know sculpting is controlling detail, so basic modeling helps. Sure, and in fact, I mean, I don't know that there's one that's more important than the other. In fact, yeah, I mean, what I'm going to end up doing here is I'm not going to box model all this shit. That would be very, very tedious. So what I'm basically going to do is I can go through and get the shapes blocked out where I need to using probably mostly sculpting techniques, and then I can rebuild as needed to kind of get that working ish. Okay, so this looks like it's round. You know what would also help if I actually had now, it's not to say that's the only way you could go about making something like this. I would never presume to tell anybody that. But as far as how I'm going to attack this, and it's also how I model while I live stream is a little different than, okay, so this is actually a very specific TIE fighter. I should have known, there's all types. They're all very specific. I'm just looking for like a 3/4 view so I can get a little better sense of how these little inners are working. You know what, this is fine. Open image in new tab. So off to the side here, I'm gonna have something like this open so that I can just see, is that supposed to be round? Is that supposed to be boxy? And it looks like it's supposed to be a little hexagon or however many sides this is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's go in here, go ahead and edit mode, switch. Let's go right in here to our cylinder here, and we'll drop down to initialize, and we'll say 6 divides here. So we just have a little basic thing, and we'll go ahead and say make polymesh 3D, and I can make this so just B brush, create insert mesh, new. And this thing, let's do mirror and weld in the Z now, so we can get a midline here, and then we can just pop that in there. Let's hold down Shift, And let's say split mass points. And then now we can match up this. Let's turn off X symmetry so I can rotate this around how it's supposed to be. It's kind of, goodness gracious. I'm having a hard time seeing stuff here. So let's just match this up. Let's hold down shift and we'll rotate this 90 degrees. Good enough. And then from the side view here, it should be, looks like it's pretty thin. Let's turn X symmetry back on. It looks like that kind of bolts from the outside. And it's got some lines, and then it's going to go to the inside here. So you know what? I don't need to maintain both of these. I can give the illusion that's going through. So I'm just going to hold down Control, pop this piece off, and then we're going to do a split mass point. So it's its own subtool here, and then we'll go ahead and. This one looks pretty thick. Like while I'm in here, it's like, oh boy, that's quite a substantial thing in there, but it doesn't look like that from the other reference. So I don't know. We'll go with it for now. So that's how that thing goes. This one in my reference looks a little bit rounded. So what we could do is we could go insert single edge loop here, and then we could say inset polygroup all legacy here. Oops. Let's go ahead and alt mark these. Oh boy. X symmetry is doing a number on me. So we'll go ahead and drop this down. So now I want to kind of round this out. So we'll go in here to insert multiple edge loops, hold down Alt, get rid of that, and then we'll say insert multiple edge loops, interactive elevation, and we're just going to kind of pull this out and round it off just a bit. And then there's going to be a little connector in here. So I'm just going to grab another cube. Split mass points, W. This is all part of the same view here. And we'll go ahead and stretch this one out. Now this one we want to maintain. Let's go insert single edge, hold down Alt. We'll go ahead and get rid of all these extraneous things. I'm going to go to Unmesh Mesh Center, and we're going to kind of scale this. Let's turn off X, go to Unmesh Mesh Center, and then turn X back on. So we'll scale this down. And you know what? Let's also go here. So I'm going to pop this in, and then hold down Control. We'll go ahead and push this in a little bit. And then from the top view, go ahead and say we've already got some lines in here, so we can go ahead and move these things where they need to go to match. And that is the wild world of matching shapes to different views. Fascinating. Let's go ahead and say insert single edge loop so we can hold that space here right about here, and then this one can actually just be moved. So I'm gonna do a quick mirror and weld. This one we're just gonna say, since it's a separate subtool, we can say just mirror and weld that across the X. And there we go. And let's see here. Let's go ahead and turn off align cursor to surface. So this one we just want X symmetry. So we're going to say turn off all the mirroring except for X. And if it's ever, well, I guess is that supposed to be, yeah, I guess that is supposed to be symmetrical. Mirror and weld across the X and Y, and mirror in the X and Y. All right, 1, 2. The back view is a little folly-offy. And that's about how far I would take this one personally, box modeling. At the end of the day, you can go, I mean, maybe the simple shapes in here and adding these lines and going through and putting in the geometry where it needs to be. let's go through here and hold on Control Alt so we can match these up. But this is the most tedious stuff you can possibly imagine. I mean, it's a little bit easier if you have good reference. I'm working with like 240 pixel reference apparently, but cool. What's a hotkey for this list with cubes and stuff? Well, this is my, so Alt E is my hotkey to that, and then I hit M, and this is my own personal one. You can go to BI, Brush, Insert, IMM Primitives. We can start with, let me see what we got. Trying to think of the best one. So in here, you can go to, here's a new intro to ZBrush here, and I think this one, it has 51 videos. If we go in here to, oh boy, there's a lot of brush stuff in here. Oh, it's all ZBrush, duh. Somewhere in here should be like, you know, make your own custom brush and save them. And then also, where's the other one? Concept, ZBrush for concept and ideation. This one here, if it'll load, there we go. Here's 57 videos, and somewhere in here is like, you know, making and saving your own brushes or something like that. So that way I can have something that's like, you know, 12-sided cylinders, 8-sided cylinders, 6, etc., and not just be left with, you know, whatever they have in the primitives. Of course, you can add to this and save it too, but there's a few less options there. So we got ourselves a spaceship. So we'll do this, and we'll go down here, and we'll make this startup material very dark. Let's go ahead and turn off this, and then we'll hit turn the floor on and render, and now we have a parked little TIE fighter. Now, like I said before, getting things to resolve on a round surface. So if I turn this back on, let's go ahead and say Control D a couple times with this one. We'll get it back into place here, and then we have X symmetry turned on, X, and you know what? Let's do X and Y symmetry because I think it's supposed to be that way. Well, maybe I didn't position it perfectly. No, we'll just do the top. All right, fine. Let me move it up just a little bit. There we go. So I'm just painting through Spotlight to get us the information we need. Then we can also go to the top view, I suppose. And get this information that we need. So now I could go through, I guess we don't have much of a side view, but that would be just integrating this shape here with this shape here. So yeah, getting this to resolve correctly, I guess you could use radial symmetry on this one. 1, 2, so 4, 8. Transform radial symmetry. We're looking in the Z direction, 8. So now we can go through here and, you know, start modeling these shapes in here and pop this through and make windows. If you're doing sub-D modeling on a rounded surface with all these panels and stuff, that can get really tricky. I might be inclined to use Fusion 360 for resolving those round surfaces and not do it in a box modeling way because those can be tricky. But again, it's going to get super boring super fast. And another thing I noticed here, let's go ahead and turn this off. Go back up to white. Is this green, we went out this way, but when we control dragged up, we gave this lip, but it should have gone all the way around, so we can fix that. So let's go here, let's say Q mesh, single poly, hold down Alt, go ahead and pull these through, and then instead of just control dragging out, let's go ahead and say polyloop, polygroup, and then we'll say Q mesh, polygroup all, or polygroup island might be safer. And we just pull all this out. So now, of course, we want to make sure we're matching. Yep. Okay, and if we needed to push this in, just start Q meshing and then hold down Shift, and that'll pull along the surface normal. But we're just basically matching that. Yay, there we go. That looks a little bit better. Cool. Yeah, so when you pick the brush, it appears. Yeah, so and if you go into a primitive mesh, so BI, insert primitives, T, and then you hit M, you can go down here, or you can just grab what you want up here, and then there you go. Now, as far as setting hotkeys, yes, if I wanted to set a hotkey to this, Control Alt tap it, and then set it to like Alt O, and then now if I'm on the standard brush and then I hit Alt O, well, that didn't really save it, did it? Let me see, brush insert. LMHIJK, insert primitives, Control Alt O. It's already assigned to something else. Okay, fine. Alt K. Oh. Let me see. Alt K. I just jumped out of ZBrush, sorry. Shouldn't be this hard. There we go. Hotkey assigned successfully, so when I hit Alt K, now I have IMM primitives. Of course, like I said, I use my own custom one, Alt E M, so I can put rings on things. Split mask points, that's under your subtool split menu. And then if I want to shrink this down, I can go into a deflate, inflate in my deformation menu and do that. Or you can make your own custom menus. Same things. Cool. Let's see, watching anything, John just asked, watch anything recently? I did watch Mortal Kombat. I tried watching Zack Snyder's Justice League. I was able to make about 20 minutes spread out over 5 days. My wife actually watched the whole thing, spread out over 5 or 6 days. I don't know that she really enjoyed it that much, but she sat through it over time. And then, what else did I watch? We were watching something. Watched the Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then, God, it seems like we were watching something else, but I don't really remember what it was. Mostly reality TV while eating lunch. After sometimes faces happen to be invert after exporting to Maya, I guess it has to. Oops, sorry, this thing's moving. I heard a rumor that sometimes faces happen to be invert after exporting a model to Maya. I guess it was modeler's issue. It can be software issue. What do you think? That's definitely a modeler's issue. I've never had that problem because while you're in here, if you ever go down here to display properties, you make sure double's turned off. So if I want to go into append, for example, this is just one example where this could happen easily. Go in here to ZSphere, and then we're going to turn on the X symmetry on the ZSphere. And we're going to go into your ZSphere properties. You guys know where this is now. Density 1, dynamic resolution, your adaptive skin, edit topology. So if I want to start drawing topology here, you know, if I wanted to go like, I want a polygon to go from here to here to here to here, and then let's go ahead and make this a little darker, and we'll put on some matte cap pearl, and then we can go through here. We're basically just creating geometry at this point, here to here, and then, you know, we can go through here. We can actually use the topology brush for this, but I don't think the topology brush is going to give me the problem I'm looking for. So we're going through here, we're creating geometry, and it'll stick to anything that's visible, which you can use to your advantage. You can go up here if you wanted something to like latch onto this and then come back down, no problem. And it's not quite as messy as the topology brush can be sometimes. You also go in here and use W to move stuff around, which in the topology brush kind of you can do, but boy is it ever a mess. So if I have this, I can hit A for my adaptive skin, and that'll be my adaptive skin. So there's my geometry, and it's turning polygons. So you see, double's turned on. So if I go through here and I turn on adaptive skin and then insert that adaptive skin, just turn off our ZSphere so we don't get confused, and then I just start modeling. So it's like QMesh, polygroup, island, we start modeling this out, and everything looks fine. However, if you ever go down here and you turn double off, and in this case, let's say we were modeling, it's like, you know what, I'm going to pull in some thickness this way, and we'll go ahead and let's go back up to matte cap right here. So I've got this thing and we're modeling. I'm going to pull this out a little bit, and we're doing fine, and we want to continue box modeling, so I'm going to go up here. I'm going to say Alt and pull this out, and we're going to go in here to slide edge, and we'll pull this in so it makes a nice little thing here. It's like, okay, I'm modeling, and then I'm going to export this. As soon as you export it, it's going to be flipped because these faces are flipped. It has double turned on by default when you do that. There's something in ZBrush where it's like, well, you probably want to see both sides of this, so we'll turn on double for you. We just won't tell you about it. But if you're unaware of that and you export it, you'll have flipped faces. So in that case, you'll just need to go in here. Sometimes it'll yell at you, hey, you have a morph target. That's another thing it adds that is kind of a pain. Go into morph target, delete morph target, and then you can flip your faces. But yeah, it's not a ZBrush issue. It's not a Maya issue. It's the thing in between those two. Cool. I want to ask how you'd rebind right-click to ZModeler actions instead of spacebar. I don't know if you can do that. It's tied to navigation, so you may have to go digging in ZBrush's innards to make that happen. Not sure that can be done, or at least I can't do it. Someone smarter than me would have to answer that one. They have a ZBrush. ZBrush for his birthday. Do you have any tips for a complete beginner? I do have, if it's just very, very much starting out, this, I guess this playlist is probably either of these. That intro to ZBrush that I mentioned, this is all free, you know, or the ZBrush for Ideation series, the first 57 videos in this series is free. So that should get you up and running in like the bare minimum basics of ZBrush. And then beyond that, I mean, that's going to take a minute. So that's a good start. Cool. Thank you, Vadim. Do you have any video about picker menu functionality? Yes. So the picker played a really big role in ZBrush 2021.6.3. So if you go into the 2021 playlist, or like I mentioned, did I just close that? Come on. So I have it broken out a little bit better here. So here's the ZBrush 2021 points new. Here's 0.5, and then 0.6 is in here. So if you just click on these videos and start watching it on YouTube, that'll take you to all the new, no, it won't. It kind of started here, but you actually have to scroll down. So if you go to this playlist and you scroll down, the 2021.6.3 stuff is very new. And then the 2021.5 is where the picker menu came into play. So let's do Control F, picker. 1. Curve overview refresher. Bend start, bend end. Repel strength, picker, this one. So video 72. I'll just link you here. That goes into a lot of picker functionality. Cool. Wow, Kenyan students. Very cool. Any table you recommend for a beginner? A table? No. If you're talking about a tablet, the only one I've ever used, I mean, I used to use a Cintiq, but the only one I've ever used is a Wacom Intuos Pro. Wacom Intuos Pro. So that would be all I would have there. Let me see if there's another one. That's the thing too, is you can do, so here's the thing. You know what, this might be fun. So let's do this. What's the other one? Star. So we'll go ahead and save this one. Let's delete this one here. We'll delete that ZSphere out of here, and we'll go ahead and save this real quick under streaming. Make a new folder here. SW ships. So if I want to come in and revisit this one, I can. However, I'm going to go out of edit mode here, and we're going to grab texture import. We're going to noodle around with some greebly stuff. So texture import desktop. I'm going to go something a little bit bigger here. So we'll say, and this is a new thing too, when we add this to Spotlight, it won't move this one. So if I want to put this one in front of the other one, where is that at? Flip mirror, somewhere in here is a way to reorder these. I don't do it that often, so I don't know exactly. Oh, there it is, front. So we can put this back in front, and it hasn't moved, so I don't lose any of my movie stuff. But we don't really need this one anymore, so I can go ahead and delete this out of here. So now this one, same deal. Let's go ahead and just start with let's do a Shift Z. I'm going to go here to a Polymesh 3D, go into edit mode, go down here to initialize, and we'll just do a cube. So we have a 2, 2, and 2 subdivision here. So we'll go ahead and bring our reference back, and I plop this right down the middle, and we'll go ahead and stretch this out so that it is about yay big here. And one more time, we're going to go back into our movie timeline show. I'm going to go ahead and drag these dots out, so we're getting rid of those. I'm going to store another one. Same deal here, so I'm going to go ahead and turn on, let's see, oh, I want to make sure I'm Z forward, so let's immediately just go ahead and rotate this 90 degrees, and then we'll move our camera over here, get rid of that one. The worst thing you want to do is get out of orientation. It's not the worst thing you can do, you can always fix it pretty easily, but now we're oriented correctly, so now I can hold down Control Alt, and we can bring these points in, and then Control Alt, and we can spread these points out to match. Now this line in here isn't doing me much good right now, so insert single edge loop with our Z modeler brush BZM, and we'll go ahead and knock those back, and then we'll, now here's the deal, this is Z forward, so I need to go turn on symmetry across the X. Just tap X, that's going to turn on your symmetry in the X direction, and then now as we move these things, we hold down Control Alt and unmask, we can kind of pull these things in, and now we've got the overall shape. Now we got to go down here to the side view. So we're going to drop down, and of course we're going to save this. Let's go ahead and scale this just slightly. And I'm not really scaling it, I'm just using my camera navigation to kind of fit that right in there. Shoot, I didn't save that top one. So we're going to save that view, and then up here, we'll save this view. And then in the front, again, all we need to know is how wide it is, because we know we match it from the top, we know it'll match it from the front. So we'll go ahead and save this view. And then the back, we'll save this view. So this will keep us honest. Oops, I need to snap my camera. Drag off, save on. Okay, so that's close enough for what we need. And then, so now again, we can just kind of cycle through our cameras and just start matching these profiles. So one more time, I guess we can turn on, this is vaguely symmetrical, but it's not perfectly symmetrical. So I'm just gonna, you know what, just drag these points down. This is gonna kind of follow this profile shape. This is fine. It seems like this one, the bottom is a little bit, it's like tilted up a little. So we'll just follow that. Good enough. And then from the top view, good enough. And then from the front view here, let's go ahead and grab both of these sides, and we'll just, again, we're just creating an envelope basically to encapsulate all our views here, and that's close enough. So that's the overall shape of what we're trying to create. And then from here on out, it's just a bunch of modeling. So here we do have, if I turn on polyframe, we got some lines in here. So I'm going to go into my custom menu here, cylinder. You can go through here and like find out how many segments you may need to do your modeling. I'm not going to get that intense, so I'm just going to kind of drag out a cylinder here, say split mass points. I'll turn off X symmetry, hold down Control and drag one out here, and then I'll turn X symmetry back on. I'll do a quick geometry modified topology, mirror and weld across the X with LSIM turned off. So you can put another one on the other side. So there we go. And then of course I need to make sure, you always want to test your other views, because these engines are actually further in, down maybe a little bit here, and they also kind of taper in a little bit. So we can go ahead and do that just real quick. I'm just going to eyeball it. So here we, instead of, if I do, you can just model one and have it work and then duplicate it around, but we'll go in here to slice, and we're going to slice through all of these at once. And then we can do, what can we do? If I want to bring all of these in at once, is there a fancy way to do that? Because we can use poly group on this poly ring, but it's going to bring in more than I want to. I basically just want to scale. You can go in here to scale, edge loop complete, and you kind of scale these in, but it's only going to do these outer two, not that inner one. And of course we can duplicate this around, it's not a huge deal. And also we want to scale this back as well. So we're going to kind of taper this in. So there's the taper profile. Then again, for that middle one, we can just turn off X symmetry, hold down Control Alt, mask this one, and drag this one to the middle. But What probably would have been better is if we, let's see, let's do a quick auto groups, and we'll get rid of this one here. Delete hidden. It probably would have been better if we just modeled this one. Oh, you know what would be cool? Okay, let's undo that. Let's try this. Hold on, Control Shift. Let's turn on X symmetry, Control Shift Alt, and then we'll say delete hidden. So this one, let's go ahead and say, you know what? We'll go in here and we'll say scale here. We'll scale this down, and we'll scale this down here. And then if I go in here to our array mesh, let's snap to our back view here. We're going to go in here to our array mesh. It's going to give us some instances. Turn on array mesh, lock position, lock size. Let's turn on transpose. Let's hit W and then Y to go into transpose line. And now I can use my transpose line to pull out an instance copy. We'll hold down Shift to constrain it. So we got a copy over here. Now we want a mirrored copy over here. So we're going to go ahead and say append new. Let's go ahead and say I want to reset, so we can put that, it'll put the pivot right back in the middle here, and then we're going to say X mirror. So now, as we're modifying this one, so anything we do to this one, if we want to go through here and say, you know what, let's say inset flat island and bring this in. Let me see what that back view looks like. I don't know, whatever. We want to bring this in, and we want to say, you know, Q mesh polygroup all, and hold down Shift and just push this back a little bit, and then Q mesh this in. You're going to see it's going to be updating the other ones. If you ever want to get rid of those, like they're in the way, just turn array mesh off, and then you can keep modeling. So if you're in the side view again, it's like, okay, I need to model this. Let's go ahead and hit Y to go back into gizmo mode, do whatever modeling you need to do, and then turn array mesh back on, and your instances will still be sitting there. So that might be a little bit better. Now this one, oh, I guess it does. I was gonna say it doesn't have those little ball things, but they're up there. They're just actually a lot smaller than I thought they would have been. So yeah, go through here, and that's where again you would match this view, and then you would go through and match it to the angle that you have built in. In fact, you may even want to bring this down and match that so it matches this, and then you can add. It's just a lot of really tedious box modeling basically. But you know the basics now. You can insert an edge loop, you can slice. Okay, if I missed something, I apologize. I'm having to do a lot of scrolling. Okay, good, tablet. That's another thing too. If you were actually asking about a table, I do have some on that. So on my YouTube channel here, type in workstation. Like here's my workstation setup. This is an older setup, but you can see, you know, standing IKEA Bekant desk and all that good stuff. So
hey everybody, this is Michael Pavlovich, and
that'll be all down here underneath the description. Where's that at? Show more. There you go. So here's the description of this one, and then for the updated workstation stuff, in the description of this, I think it shows the upgraded stuff I've done. Yeah, this one's a little bit newer, so go ahead and copy this one down there. Cool. Yeah, definitely if you're going to be doing any, I mean, I use a tablet for modeling too while I'm in Maya. So if I'm just in Maya, you know what? I guess I can load that up too. Or any 3D program. Helps my wrist out. I don't like using my mouse for modeling. If I can help it. I got my 3D mouse that I use for like CAD navigation and stuff like that. But as far as, you know, mouse modeling and using box modeling for mice, that's a little bit tougher. So for like Max Maya, Blender, Modo, all that stuff, I'd still use a tablet. Of course, Maya being the really heavy bloated pieces of software it is, it's going to take a minute before I can use it. Can I use a menu now? Maybe now. There we go. Well, not yet. Hold on. Wait for it. Can I use it now? Nope. Still waiting. There we go. Nope. I don't have that much stuff. Like, this is not a laden down ton of plugin thing. So go in here and make a cube. Okay, we can model here. So shift, right click, we'll go ahead and just do a quick mirror across the x-axis here. So, and then we can double click in our move, and we can say, where are we at? Symmetry settings across the world X. Sure, that's fine. So now here's the problem. I need to go figure out how I fix this. Windows Ink. So when you're in Photoshop or when you're in ZBrush, not usually when I'm in ZBrush, ZBrush usually works fine. Maya and Photoshop, you're gonna have these stupid issues with Windows Ink where you have to have it on for it in under mapping. You have to have this on in order for it to have pressure sensitivity. But then if I turn it off, I don't get the stupid alt, like, oh, alt stuff. So if you guys know a fix for that, let me know. But yeah, even while I'm in here in Maya, I'll still use, go in here. So my right click is set to, let's see, pin. Middle click is top, right click is bottom. So I can still navigate just fine and pan and move like so. But, going here to face mode and doing selections and anything that I need to do, or shift right click, and then let me see, actually that'd be a control. It's been a while since I've actually modeled in Maya. Control right click, edge ring utilities, edge ring and split here, and then we can just double tap this, and then we can go in here and scale it like so. Sorry, I'm trying to use ZBrush hotkeys. I got to get my brain in Maya mode. So again, here, bevel this out, but I'm just using my tablet. If I ever need to, I can use my mouse. We'll go through here and we'll say extrude, like so. Like if I ever need my mouse, I can reach over and grab it. But generally speaking, yeah, using my tablet to kind of move around and make face selections and stuff like this. And in here, it wouldn't be Alt Tab to select faces. You can go in here to face mode and then hold down Tab, and you can go through and select all these. So yeah, any topology, retopology, or any quad draw or anything like that, I'll just use my tablet for navigation and modeling. Keeps my wrists supple. And then I closed down Maya, and it took 5 minutes to close. Yeah, movie timeline show. You can plot your points, just pick your camera views in there, then turn off show, and then yeah, use your arrow keys left and right. Cool. Excellent. Almost in sync. Every other video you end up posting the same videos as links. We should set up where I can help just say John hit it and I can post them. You know what? I have a Restream little box with a bunch of cool buttons on it. I just need to actually sit down and be like, hey, how does this thing work? There's a lot of things I need to do that for. Interesting. Okay, I'll have to check that out. Yeah, counteracting the Windows Ink. It's a nightmare. I would hope that, I don't know, it's very, very intrusive. Keep 2019 because that seems the fastest, most stable version for me. I'm a habitual upgrader. Sometimes, to my horror, that doesn't always work out for me. Yeah, I agree, Morpheus. It's ZBrush modeling. It's just a little bit faster, a little bit funner for me. Selections are a little bit quicker. It's not to say I can do everything in ZBrush. There's a lot of things in ZBrush that are a little bit tougher because of the way it's set up. But generally speaking, I have a lot funner in here. Suppose of a robot with tube arms and stuff and posting the vids of this creation. You still plan on doing that? Yeah, and you know what? I need to do that as a follow-up. We can talk a little bit about that. So if I go in here to load tool, yeah, we can go in here to our recording. That was called Mechy Tube. I've got some variants in here too, where I think I tore half his body off and left him kind of sticky. He's kind of a cartoonier character than I usually do. He's a little cartoony and kind of funny. And now that I kind of see him, there's a couple changes I would want to make to kind of go through here and maybe pop some of these areas a little bit more. He looks a little bit drab. But anyway, yeah, basically making a a mech just completely made of tubes and then supplementing him with, you know, armor pieces, different types of... this is actually pretty old. There's a couple techniques that weren't available at the time, so I may have to go back through and do a little bit of recording. But at the end of the day, he was essentially, if I dig through him, let me see, let me do a delete all. Let me see what other versions of him I have. Let's see, Mech Refine. Go into a little bit of a earlier version here, see what's there. So here's kind of a block out, and there's all the tubes sitting there. And, you know, also changing proportions too. I think I went through and changed his proportions quite a bit. There we go. So we have this one sitting underneath. So that's kind of the blocker. There's just geometry sitting there just in case you can see through the little slivers. You won't realize that there's nothing there. But you can also use that when you're setting up. If I go through here and I say, turn off polyframe, turn off dynamic, go into solo mode. Let's dynamesh this here. You know, it's a little bit high. I would like to work at the lowest resolution possible. I've got a pretty mean machine, but at the same time, I don't want to be bogged down with file sizes and geometry I'm not going to use. So we have this dynameshed here. So now, if I wanted to do a bunch of tubes, another cool thing you can do from ZBrush 2021.6, I think, 2016.6, BI brush insert, no, brush, oh good. Let me see, caps lock on here. Did something take over my ZBrush? Let me do quick save. That was weird. Basically taking him and using his body as a something, just a volume that I can go through and make changes to. Quick save here. Solo mode. Okay, so just like you would be able to do brush insert or brush curve BC, there is a new curve flat snap, which is like hair cards. You can go through here. Let's make our draw size a little bit smaller. And if you want more spans in here, go into your brush modifiers and crank up that curve res, and then you'll get more spans along here. In this case, I don't think I need that, but FYI. So we'll go ahead and turn that off. So now you can actually use this as a way to kind of be like, okay, I want, you know, curves to go through here and tap off like so. And then I can go through here, Control Shift A, let's hit Control W, make this all one poly group here, and then we'll go ahead and split those ones off. So, oops, let's turn everything off except for these two here. So I've got these kind of sitting there, and you can actually turn these into tubes if you're so inclined. So you can go in here and you can say QMesh all polygons, like so. And then they'll be pretty simple tubes. Now, if you wanted these to, when you hit dynamic, to be round, what you're going to need to do is go in here to unmask all, or sorry, increase all. That's under your crease menu, and then you'll have to pop these caps off, which I don't know if there's a fast way to do that, but we may have to go in here to like delete a single poly on here. It's not terribly slow, but kind of. Now, is this the way I made those tubes? No, I'm just talking. So we're gonna hit D for dynamic, and then these will turn into tubes, and you can cap them whenever you'd like. But another interesting thing you could do if you wanted to just work with very, very little geometry. Let's go back here and let's get back to where we just had our straps here. You can also go in here to geometry, dynamic, and then we can turn on thickness. Let's turn off smooth so div. So that way you have dynamic thickness, so you can do D and Shift D, and while you're manipulating those, it may look like you're manipulating tubes and stuff, and in fact we can go through here to our brush auto masking, turn on topological, and then we'll drop that range down. Let's drop that range down to like 1.5, and now you can go through here. If these are all in their individual groups, you can also use mask by poly groups, but so you can go through here and you can start moving stuff around, and then you can turn them into tubes whenever you want. So if that's a little bit easier to manipulate, less geometry, that's another option. However, how I did this, here's another thing you could do that I didn't have access to, is brush, extrude, profile. There's a lot of cool things in here, and by default it's kind of set up for fancy stuff. But you know, there's some interesting shapes in here. So while you're doing your curve brushes here, it'll actually take that profile geometry and, oops, we also have thickness turned on. It'll take that profile geometry and just extrude it along. And you can also update that on the fly. So if you want this shape, just tap. And now we have this shape. In this case, I don't know that I'd need anything super fancy, and even this circle is pretty high res for my needs. So I would have to go through here and just make a simple circle and add it to that. I guess we could do that. That could be another option for creating tubes, is using an extrude profile. For what I would be using it for, it would probably, you can also just make your own. So in here I have a tri-part curve brush. It's an older one, but this is my go-to. Let me see, where's my military? Simple tube. So if we want to look at this, go out of edit mode here. You're gonna grab that Polymesh 3D here, hit W, and I can't swap those out, because if I hit W and I want to tap the one, you know what, I guess I can just use a plugin. So Z plugin, there's a plugin you can install called IMM Extractor, and then I'll go ahead and, well, maybe not, there it is. And I'll take whatever IMM brush you have there and extract it to a subtool. So basically all this is a tri-part curve brush where the bottom and the top are the exact same. It has a number of segments that I want, and then it just repeats the middle. So now when I use this one, let's get a very, very simple tube. But of course, brush curve tube you can also use. And speaking of the flatten, if you go back into your brush here and you go into your modifiers, you can say, you know what, I don't want 20, I want 6. So you go through here and you tap 6, and now it's 6. And then you can also go through here and you can say, turn your Z intensity down. And that'll kind of, oops, maybe not to 0, but you can turn it down and turn it into a strap, if you're so inclined. Now, if you want to do a perfect strap, that's when you want to do brush modifier of 4, and that'll give you a square, and then drop your Z intensity down so you get more of a strap. And that's the curve strap snap. Now, I think if you put the brush modifier to 0 is when you get the flat one-sided. And in this particular instance, it looks like the curve, looks like the curve res is a little bit higher, modifying the curve tube to a curve snap strap. So you don't get the nice even quad. So brush, curve, flat, snap. Yeah, so this one's a little more spaced out. Interesting. Not sure where that setting would be. Let me get caught up again. Cool. Using the PSU config file. That's what I use for Photoshop. But I don't know how to fix it for Maya. Robot with tube arms. Did a character in ZBrush and couldn't show its polypaint in Arnold. That's a couple hoops you need to jump through. Let me see if I can find that for you. There was a video I watched. Let me link to it real quick. I think I know where it is. No, it's not that one. What was it? Dang it. It was CG. You know, it might be under artists. Sorry. Give me a second. Dang. Because I don't go into, if I was gonna go into Maya and render an Arnold or V-Ray or something like that. Gosh, was it under ZBrush? It would be, okay, let me just do a search. It would be it's what happens when I neglect my notes. Hey, I know exactly I can see it in my brain, but I can't find it. But basically, yeah, to get your Polypaint to show up in Maya, and render it in Arnold requires just a few steps. I don't know exactly what they are because I never do it, but I'll see if I can think about that in the back of my head while we continue. Cool. Where did I find the reference? Just Google. If you're talking about this stuff, Star Destroyer top view, and then just grabbed the schematic. Export maps UV work. Yeah, you can. Oh yeah, when you export out a ZBrush underneath texture, you can flip vertically, and that'll get everything. ZBrush has a very set in its ways, flipping vertically their textures. Cool. Yeah, exactly. My brain is not allowing me this morning. So we got some tubes here. We got some tube techniques. You can use this, but you know, using the simple tube here. And if I drag this off, it's going to be sitting on the surface. If I don't want that, that's just going into that curve or the depth, sorry, and just embed this. Say 0, and then we can just tap to update, and we're off to the races. So now you can do that for your curves. You can also, we can try doing like a stroke curve as line, and then if I wanted to say, you know what, I need to have a little bit more control over this curve from here to here, I can put in a tube. Go ahead and split mask point so you can see it. And now, you know what, we need to go out of X symmetry here, get rid of this one because we're just going to work on one side. This is another instance where you could use an array mesh to put it on the other side. We're going to hold on Alt and tap so we can inherit that normal, or inherit that that axis, and then we're going to go in here to bend curve, and then we can just populate this thing. Oops, put your axis in and then dial in where you want these things to go. So we can go through, and now we have an awful lot of control over all these points of the curve. So you can have a little bit more leeway if you needed to do like a wrap or something like that. That's one way you could do it. And then this is another cool thing about this one in particular, is you can go through here and there's you can scale. So if you needed a, you know, you got a little pressure in this tube, but you also have a scale, squeeze, and then also a twist. So you can actually use this to kind of helix down. So if you're going to do a bundle of wires, you can go through and you can kind of twist a little bit. And then speaking of a bundle of wires, you can go through here. Let's do a quick group by normals. That's into your polygroup menu. Hold on, Control Shift, isolate just the pink ones, delete hidden. And then now we can go through here and we can say polygroup, polyloop. And we're just going to say, give me a bunch of, I'm just tapping Alt as I do different polygroups here. So now when we go in here to stroke curve functions, and we want to frame our mesh, and then we'll go right back into our brush we're using. And then when we tap to update these curves, that'll give us that bundle of wires. So I can't really tap on here to get rid of the curve because the curves are all over the place. So instead I'm going to go over here to curve functions, delete, and then now we got a bundle of wires. If I want to get rid of that middle one, I got to go dig in here and find it. So we'll go ahead and Control Shift A, Control Shift drag. Nope. Let's do this. I'm going to do a quick auto groups here, and then again I'm going to kind of dig into the middle of this thing to find it. There he goes. So now I can keep this around if I ever need to use it again, or I can just geometry modify topology, delete hidden, and then now we've got this bundle of wires. Then we can hit D for dynamic. I think. Oh, dynamic. I think we inherited the node thickness, smooth subdiv of 2 maybe. And then I can say, you know what? Let's duplicate this off. Let's apply those dynamic subdivisions so it's real geometry. And then we're just going to go right in here to Dynamesh. We're going to voxelize this into one solid mesh. So now I can go through here, Control Shift Slice. Let's hit Control W, make this all one polygroup. Hold down spacebar, go into brush radius. And then now we can go through here. This is something I did in the ZBrush Summit 2018 ZBrush Summit. Kind of go through here and just kind of put some bundles on here. So if I want to keep these ones, we're just going to grab these ones out of here and then say delete hidden, and then zero mesh half, depth size down to 0. Now we'll get some nice simple bundles in here. You can cap these if you want, or you can just go in here and say, you know, Q mesh, polygroup all, and pull these out a little bit. So now you've got a bundle of wires that now, if we go through here, we'll just run a quick, let's up that crease tolerance quite a bit and then turn on dynamic. And we'll say dynamic crease level of 3, smooth side of 4. So that'd be another way you can go about that. Another thing you can do, and this is probably, you can do an insert mesh brush and bend curve. If you want control, again, a lot of this is kind of about controlling stuff too. So we want to go in here to insert a ZSphere, and I'm just going to hide everything but this. I mean, it's sometimes useful if you need to have context, where it's like, well, yeah, I need to put something on here, but I want like a snake through here or follow along here. You can just have stuff on. But in this case, I'm just going to simplify what we're talking about. I'm going to have the ZSphere here. We're going to go into E to scale this down, transparency mode, so I can see where it is. And now, the scale isn't that important. I can show you why in just a second. But now I can go through here and we can set, let's go ahead and turn on X symmetry. And if I hold down Shift, oops, Q, Shift, that'll make it all the same size. I'm going to go hit Q all through here, and we can go through and move this stuff out. Not that you have to make it the same size. You can have it taper and then add interstitial segments in here. But this way, you have a pretty good amount of control. You don't have to worry about like your geometry getting weird. You just need to worry about, you know, where you want your Z-spheres to go. So I'm hitting Q to go through here and draw, like so, and then we've got our tube wrapped around. So now, if I want to turn this into a real tube, an easy way is you can go in here, down again, like we did earlier, adapt to skin, density down to 0, dynamic resolution off, preview. You can see we get a pretty even tube, no big deal. So that's one way you can do it. You just say make adapt to skin and then modify this tube however you'd like. Another way, well, let's talk about that one. So subtool, ZSphere here, and then we, you know what, let's do an insert that skin ZSphere, so it's right here where we want it, just below. If I don't want this middle one here, I can say, you know what, get rid of this one, delete hidden. And in fact, let's go ahead and we can recap these. These ones give it like a little rounded cap, not my style. So we'll go through here and we'll say delete hidden. Now you're gonna see it's kind of choppy along here. You can go through here and you can try doing like a deformation polish, and that'll kind of even it out. You can also try to do hit Control W, make it all one poly group, and then you can do like a polish by features, open circle, and that'll, it looks like polish actually does a better job. So tap polish a couple times. Now if it shrinks it, no problem. Deformation inflate. You can go through and you can inflate this back out, or you can go through here and you can say what? You can say Q mesh polygroup ball, hold down Shift, and pull along those surface normals. If you want to redo the geometry, again, adapt size down to 0, same zero mesher. That'll give you some evenly spaced geo, but I think this one does fine. You can also, like we did before, if you wanted to do a bundle, polygroup, polyloop, go through here and you can make all these different polygroups, or you can just use these two to delete hidden, and then brush, insert, curve, bike chain. Again, go ahead and frame your mesh here, and then that way you can go through and you just have a little bit of control over how this thing wraps, like so. And then also, of course, you'd want to make sure that you know the geometry is where you want it at first. Another option is, let's go ahead and delete our skin Z-spheres. That's real geometry. If we go back to our Z-sphere here, in 2021.5, I think, was, oops, not transform, stroke menu. So all the curve stuff in here, down here under curves helper, we can copy that Z-sphere chain. We can create a curve here. It's going to append a little square and will give us a curve. And then now you can just do, you know, whatever. Brush, insert IMM curve, M, and we'll go down here to scales maybe. This one can be a little bit iffy when it gets to like twisting. You can go in here and you can untwist yourself. You can hold down Control as you twist, and it'll kind of twist small, you know, however your influence. Oh, I guess it's twisting the whole thing. Oh, you know what? And maybe because we have bend start and bend end. Interesting. So if you have bend start and bend end on, it'll twist locally. However, if you have just bend start, it's going to start bending or twisting from where you are to the start, and of course the opposite for bend end. So it'll start twisting from where your start is all the way down the chain. So that actually might be even more useful for finding out like, oh, it starts to twist here. Okay, we'll twist that back. Boy, that actually worked really well. Good to know. So we have that. that could be another option for you. Go ahead and go to some. Well, again, we didn't have X symmetry turned on when we did that. If we did, it would have doubled it up, which is fine. But if you wanted to get rid of some of these, now that it's real geometry, this is B, where we just go in here and say Control Shift Alt, Geometry Modified Poly, delete hidden. There you go. So now you've got, oops, let's also go in here to our auto masking and turn off topological. I usually have my brush menu open, so it's not a big deal for me here to go into auto masking and turn off topological. But if you want a hotkey for that, BM brush move topological is its own brush, so it's already set up for you. Oh, let me get caught up. Okay. Yes. Yeah, don't do the drinking game where I say my common phrases, because boy, I never stop. That's where everything is. Yeah, UV master, like John Yu says, quick UVs. Intro to ZBrush series views. Wasn't able to do anything due to surgery. Getting better at healing. Great. Good to hear. Really nice insight. Give me a lot of yeah, excellent. Thank you very much. I'm glad those videos are helping. I wish I had more time to do. Let's go and turn on X symmetry. In fact, you know, if I want this to be symmetrical, I'll just do a quick mirror and weld across the X, or deformation mirror across the X and then mirror and weld if I wanted the other side. X symmetry back on by tapping X, and then now we're symmetrical on both sides. But yeah, glad those videos are helping. I wish I had I wish I had a little bit more time to do some other stuff. Hell, even releasing videos that I recorded like 2 years ago and never did anything with, like this guy. As a pop-up deformation menu custom. This is my custom menu. The deformations, all the deformers will be down here. So I just pick out the ones that I use all the time, like polish by features, inflate, and just put them over here in my custom menu. Any to even out the curved segments generated by ZSpheres before messing with geometry? Yeah, if you ZRemesh it, you can. Constipated Overlord. I'm trying to think if there is some fancy stuff you can do with ZSpheres. I don't do it that often, but if I go through here, let's go ahead and switch. Let's talk a little bit about this. So go to ZSphere here, go into edit mode. And, you know, we're going to draw out a ZSphere Q. Oh, this is another thing too. So if I wanted to do like something that tapered, go in here to scale and then hit Q down here, so that as it goes, it gets smaller and smaller. So that's just a way to kind of make sure that you get a taper over time if you wanted to do that with your ZSphere. So anyway, we've got ZSpheres in here, and this one's tapering. So now if I hit A by default, that's going to be on my adaptive skin. It's going to look low res, but if you turn on polyframe, you see it's actually very dense. So we're going to go in here to adaptive skin, and that's because Dynamesh resolution's on. Turn it down to 0, tap A to update this, and now it's more even geometry, but the density's at 2. Turn that down to 1. This is your real density. There are things you can do in adaptive skin. If you go out of preview mode, you can go down here to classic skinning, and then there's even, what is this? Intersection resolution, membrane curvature, minimal skin to child, minimal skin to parent. And you can also insert local meshes. So this is when you see, if you go in here to your projects, and there's like the mannequins in here, and they've got like, they're made of like spheres and cylinders. That's where you can like use the insert local mesh. I'd never ever do that. Maybe, I don't know. It's not, I'm not saying you shouldn't, I'm just saying I never do. But anyway, you can use a little bit of this here to kind of mess around with stuff. I don't really, again, I'm not really in here that often, so I'm probably not going to be much use as far as how this stuff works. But I guess at the end of the day, there's two different options right off the bat. There's use classic skinning, and then there's this adaptive skin. So this is adaptive skin, and then this is classic skinning. So that'll give you even lower res geometry. Might be useful in some instances. But if I did want to do this as a make adaptive skin, that's going to throw a skin just out here. And then if I'm just in this subtool, so I'm going to go ahead and append that skin result. We can delete the ZSphere out of there. And then this one, if we go through here and we just remove those caps, delete hidden, and delete hidden. So now we've got a little more coarser geometry. But in this one, if I do like ZRemesher same, probably be pretty low res, but yeah, and on this corner it tried to build in a flat to a flat, so that's not super useful. Even this geometry out. Maybe hit Control D and then geometry, delete lower so you can see, okay, a little more even, and then ZBrush might give you a little bit of a better result. But yeah, that actually adds more spans. But anyway, classic skinning, subdividing might be worthwhile to check out. Cool. Oh, you know what? I think that's what it was. Thank you, Karaoke. Export Polypaint. Yes. Boom. Thank you. You found it. Let me link you to this. So this is here. You can go through and you're doing your Polypaint, you're doing your ZBrush, and then if you want to take this and have your Polypaint show up in Maya, there's a little bit of hoops you need to jump through to get it to render correctly and do your material and stuff like that. But it's all in there. Do I not have that? That's gonna piss me off if I don't have that in my notes, because like I said, I knew where that was, but no, doesn't exist. All right. All right, now I'm mad at myself though. Cool. Thank you for shouting that out in the comments there. Can you get a Bezier-like curve on ZSphere tubes? Unfortunately, no. There is, what's the Bezier curve? I guess if you go in here and say mask curve, you can kind of do a tap Alt to get a Bezier curve, and then so you can like slice Bezier curves. So if we had something like a sphere, make Polymesh 3D, and we say, oh, Control Shift Slice, it's like, okay, I want a nice curve here, and then tap Alt twice to get a sharper curve. We still have brush, Control Shift spacebar, so you can do kind of get a Bezier curve like this. I wonder why I did that. Anyway, again, go through here, tap Alt to get a Bezier curve, but you can't like pull handles or anything. But you can frame this now. You know, you have a polygroup border, so you can frame that mesh. I think so. Do I have Russian roots? Maybe. Maybe. I wanted to say, it kind of depends. I don't know. I have a weird, my DNA test does not really match up with my last name that well. I don't know what's going on there. I'm afraid to dig too deep. Yeah, so anyway, I don't know. What else do we want to make today? We've got 45 minutes left. I need something to render so I can do my... This is kind of one of those hodgepodge days. I hope that's okay. I didn't come in here with a real agenda here. I can go to my old streaming folder, see if there's anything I want to catch up on. Almost Turtle Power. You got that Avatar thing I never really finished. Mario World stuff, Leprechauns, Genies. Oh, was it Made Week? That's something I did. You know what? That's what I could have used. How to make a shell, make a pirate ship. Boy, make a pirate ship in 45 minutes. Whew. I can make a shell. So speaking of shells, I kind of did make a shell for a couple areas in this one here. So you can see these little shells on the foreground here, and then also on her chest. I can show you how I did those if I remember. It was this. I did something, you know what? I'm gonna watch and see. Give me a sec. You know what? Let's watch this on YouTube. Oh, come on. You can see it a little bit bigger. Okay, we're going through, we're making a fish. And then, because I had a very specific technique. Oh, okay, I was like, I know I did something weird, but you wouldn't have to do it like this, but if you want to use some new functionality, which is what I was testing at the time, we have Make Polymesh 3D. So this is, you know, what the shell's going to wrap around. And I think I used hold down Control, and now you have like mesh balloon, mesh extrude, mesh project, all that good stuff. So I think I use mesh project, and we can go through here, and as we're masking, it'll project a mesh to that. So we hold down Control, and we go in here to, I'm going to go in here to stroke, and it's lazy mouse, and we're just going to turn that lazy radius down to 0. I thought I did it by default. So now we can go through here, we can say, give me I think I may have had to use Booleans. Boy, it's actually been a while since I've used this functionality, so maybe I shouldn't embarrass myself, but here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna say turn on live Boolean. We're gonna go through here, we're gonna hold down Control, we're gonna make a shape like this, and then we're going to go over here, and no, if this is a Boolean, we're gonna hold down Shift, and that's gonna do an additive mesh. And then over here, it'll continue to kind of wrap around, but that's not gonna give us those. God, I really don't remember how I did it. It was using this functionality, but you know what? Let's just do this. This will be a little bit easier. So another option you can do instead of using this stuff, all it is cool, you know, to kind of be able to do this type of thing, and then go in here and do subtractive meshes and stuff with Booleans. So check those out, those videos out from that playlist here, and that's one. That was a 2021.6. This one, 2021.6 with the shells. But another option you can try is we can go through here again. We got a ZSphere, we got make polymesh 3D. I'm going to scale this out just a bit, and we just want this to kind of radiate out. So we're going to go down here to our handy array mesh, turn on array mesh, lock position, lock size. I'm going to rotate in the Z. Wait, where am I? Yeah, that's right. Okay, so Z forward. We're going to rotate in the Z, maybe this many, and we'll do some more repeats. So now as I continue to rotate the Z, you know what, let's just rotate the Z amount 360 degrees. And then we'll just add in our repeats here. So whatever profile we want our shell to have, maybe a repeat of like 10. So there's kind of the start of a shell, and it'll kind of give you that back profile. And then we're just gonna go in here, we're gonna say make mesh to make this real geometry here. And then again, you guys, one of those things too where you could, I was making a very specific type of shell. It would be something that'd go on a stage. So if I go down here to trim curve, I would literally just like trim this off, maybe scale this out and go in here and just be like, there's my shell outside here. Let's go ahead, let's do this. You know, I probably should use Booleans for that. I'm going to see if this will work. So we have polygroup. I'm going to go through here. I'm going to do a Dynamesh on this here. I'm going to isolate this one here. Let's go ahead and switch back to select rectangle. Delete hidden. Let's go down here to masking, mask our open border, control tap to invert that. We're going to smooth that out just a bit. A little polish by features, open circle. And then we can store this state, control tap this. And then we're going to say X symmetry turned on, zero measure half, depth size down to 0, and just get some better geometry. In fact, we can probably just keep going half. So that way I can get simpler geometry, but I can also go through here and then do our, let's do an extrude polygroup ball. We'll pull this in, and then again, display properties flip. So that way you have like an interior shell. Now, if you're just doing another type of shell, would be like this. That would be where I'd be like, okay, let me see this. Ah, perfect. Save image as desktop. Import. So if I just wanted to like match something like this. I got this, we have X symmetry turned on. I want to make sure Z forward, and then yeah, you just go through and you can kind of match this. Let's go ahead here to hold down Control Shift, and again, we'll go through and we'll clip here, and oops, we weren't in the middle, were we? this picture isn't perfectly symmetrical, but it's close enough. And then even if you wanted to, you can go through here with your RGB. You could paint on, you know, the shell is super low res, but this would be a good start to your shell. And then at this point, you're just going through here. Let's go ahead and turn off our Polypaint. Going here with your Debian standard and just kind of, this would be kind of tedious. You could use array mesh for this too. You could just do array mesh and get your lines all lined up and then dynamesh the result. Might get you a little bit faster as opposed to, you know, solving everything with just sculpting. But in a pinch, pretty quickly, you can get quite a bit of stuff done with just sculpting. And in fact, we can say, you know what, let's control lasso this here. And then we go to the side, control shift tap invert, and we'll clip this back. Oh, and let's turn on Dynamesh. That would help with our resolution too. Oh, you know what? I didn't save the movie. I didn't save that. And you don't even have to use movies if you don't want to. There's a couple different options. One of them is document zaplink properties. We just do custom one. So you just go to that menu. But anyway, like I said, you go through here. And now if I do RGB, a little more resolution on that. So now at least you can see where your scallops need to go. You can go down here, go up here to render, fade opacity, and you can fade the opacity of your Polypaint temporarily. So you can use this as a guide instead of using just, what's it called? What were we using? Spotlight. You can go through here and now you can kind of see, I mean, this is a bit of a tedious workflow too. It's very sculpty. So this, again, I might be inclined to use array mesh like we did earlier and just dial in those settings and then kind of maybe move and stretch things out just to get very regular patterns. I suppose you may be able to like run an alpha, but that could be a little squirrely. But at least that semi matches the reference. You can go through and clean that up as needed. Cool. ZBrush Core Mini. Yeah, ZBrush Core Mini is, that was tough for me. We did this was ZBrush Core Mini. I think I did just a bad sculpt of something. Bib Fortuna, I think, somewhere in here. And if you want to see my past live streams, that's underneath the playlist here. Look for the big created playlist, look for the big blue genie. And then in here, yeah, this one, ZBrush Core Mini live stream. Very pared down. It's free, but man, it's just got a few options. So let's see here. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think my name as it is spelled, it does have the kind of a Russian spelling. I want to say my grandpa, it ended with a C, and it might have been a C with a little line over it, which would be a little more Croatian-y. But that might have also just been the military leaving off the H or something like that. So, oh, do I have? Oh yeah, I got some. Oh, those are cute little bunny ears here. Put my head right there. Perfect. Yeah, I mean, last time I actually did model a pirate ship. It was a very cartoony one for Age of Booty on a certain affinity. They have a game called Age of Booty. I think way down here. I guess they're kind of buried. Would they be in here? Oh, here it is. Again, these are very, very old tutorials, but here's a tutorial I did for Dynamesh back when Dynamesh was kind of new. These are the Age of Booty characters. So I already did pirate ships for these characters. I don't really remember how I made them. Must have been in ZBrush. This is 10 years ago. Oh, a maid outfit. I can make, you know what? I can make a maid outfit really quickly for something I've got going. Maybe my bebop sculpt. Oh, an eggshell. Sure. Yeah, so this one, we can go in here to make Polymesh 3D. First, we got to make an egg. So let's go in here to Deformer, Control Alt. Let's see, we can kind of move this out, and that'll kind of give us our egg shape. And then now it's just geometry. Oh, sorry, we got render. So that looks weird. Fade opacity down. You know what, let's turn on X symmetry, and we'll do a quick zero mesher. I just like a little bit cleaner geometry. And then now that we have our egg kind of depends on how you want to crack it. So this might be one of those instances where, you know, you can use Boolean and stuff like that, but if you want like a chick cracking out of this, let's go in here to slice, turn off X symmetry, and this is one you can like, go ahead and crack this. Let's turn off, I thought I turned off X symmetry. I did. That's doing some really weird stuff. Wonder why. Slice curve. Not doing anything out of the ordinary. There is an alternative to this, by the way. I'm just wondering what's going on with this. So here's the alternative. Let's go through here. Let's append a cube. Take this cube and we'll scale it up and scale it out just a bit. And for this one, you know what? Let's do this. Let's go ahead and just Dynamesh this. I'm just looking for geo. We don't even need that much geo. Good enough. Okay, so on this one, we can go through here and we can clip this one. Oh, you know, let's turn on transparency so we can see the egg. So inside this egg, I want it to kind of clip like this. This might be, actually trim would be better. Let's do this. So we're going to go through here and we're going to do a trim curve. And as of this recording, trim is going to kind of close that hole in kind of a not great way. And this is Z4. That's okay. We can fix this. Z forward across the X symmetry. Sorry. Again, we're going to go through here and we're going to use trim to kind of crack this eggshell here. And again, it's going to do a bad fill hole that I don't really like. So W, control tap this. As of right now, we're going to hold down control and just pull out a copy of this with an edge ring, and control shift S, control shift X to expand, control W to make it all one poly group. Looks like it missed a few, no big deal. All we gotta do is hold down Alt and then Shift. So now I got this. I'm gonna do a quick mirror and weld across the X, and that'll put that straight across. So now we can use this as a Boolean, although of course I may need to. Now if I was gonna do this method, I don't know that I would have Dynameshed it. That was a bad idea possibly, but we'll go through here, and again, we'll just use clip to clean that up a little bit here. So now if we turn this into a Boolean mesh, make a live Boolean, and we have that on here. Now we can use this to kind of go through and put our cracks in wherever we want. Of course, we're going to need to duplicate this off. So we can duplicate this, and now with just these two showing, I'm going to say, give me my geometry. Oh, no, I'm sorry, my Boolean, make Boolean mesh. And then we'll turn this one off, and we'll turn this one on. And then I want to flip this, so we need to take this here. Delete hidden. And if I want to add some thickness to this, I guess an easy way to do that is just to go in here and say extrude. Oh boy, that exploded. Yeah, there's some nasty geometry in here. Yeah, if I was doing this again, don't use Dynamesh. Can I just add, you can just use your regular geometry, but much better. But let's see if we can salvage this. Let's go in here to, actually, we may not even need to salvage it. That's out of my range anyways. So I'm gonna hit W, control tap this one, and we're just gonna move this straight up. Good enough. Hopefully it doesn't give us an error. So now we've got our top and our bottom. And then we don't need the other stuff here. So again, we've got our top here, geometry modified topology, delete hidden, grab the bottom one. Oh my gosh. Delete hidden. Boy, I did a number on this one. Yeah, I don't know if ZBrush is going to be able to save that. I mean, we can even salvage this if we really wanted to. Control W, make it all one poly group. Go through here, Dynamesh that result, and then isolate this, delete hidden, and then we can go back in here. This is a very gross, this would be one of those things where if I was doing a tutorial, I'd be like, okay, let's scratch that technique and let's start over. Oops, not Dynamesh is what I look for, polish by features. Anyway, so zero mesh, half depth size, not a 0. Sorry about that. So that was just salvaging. Basically, that was a bunch of salvaging we were doing, but doing it again, don't use Dynamesh, or don't use Dynamesh for your initial shape. It would be much, much cleaner. And then we can zero mesh this. So now you have kind of a broken, crushed eggshell. Let's go ahead and do same. A little bit better. We got some floating polygons here. Control Shift A, delete hidden. Extrude, polygroup all. Oops. Here, and then again, go ahead and flip. Might require a little cleanup. But if this is the kind of thing where you're just going to end up, you know, putting it over here and then putting a little chick on the inside, you're probably fine. Do you have I wonder if there's a way to export crease edges out of ZBrush and other C software, so no requirement to apply edge loops. You can try GoZ into Maya. I want to say GoZ into Maya used to work or does work. I don't know that you can export an FBX or anything like that and have it maintained. You can also try maybe using polygroups. Usually, like my crease groups are usually done, like 90% of my crease groups are done in this right here, crease tolerance, that angle. So any program you bring that your model into, you can usually do the exact same thing. Like, hey, crease my edges at this angle, and then do a little bit of crease selection, and then you're back to where you started. So worst case scenario, you can get your creases back pretty quickly, even if they don't transfer that great. I know it's a pain, but working based on a concept, it's not that easy to be accurate with ZBrush. Oh, it's very easy to be accurate in ZBrush. Now, as far as accuracy is like, oh, I'm going to do a modular set and I need to snap to like points and stuff like that. Yeah, that's a little tougher. But as far as, I don't know, there's a million examples of people being accurate with ZBrush. Sorry, I backed up and now here we go. Step surface protecting curvature. Cool, yeah. That's usually when I'm doing hard surfacey type things. I'll concept it out. Let's see if I have a good example. You know what? Let's see. Hopefully this won't crash. I mean, I don't have anything here. I don't need to save, I don't think. But let's go through here and we'll say macros, and we're going to say delete unselected tools just to kind of clear this out. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it gets a little, okay, good. So for instance, you know, if I'm just kind of exploring, you know, this will be something that'll be done pretty quickly, you know, a couple hours, kind of pushing and pulling shapes and then going through here and refining this, figuring out the functionality. Not box modeling because it would, especially on these organic rounded shapes, it would just take me a long time to figure out how to box model these volumes, especially I'm just kind of playing around. I'm not really making anything in particular. Then going through here and picking what to separate, and then going in and refining these shapes. These are all still just concept meshes. They're not hard surface modeled or anything. But at this point, I know where all the points need to go. So this could just be a matter of, you know what, plot my points, rebuild SUD mesh, go through and greeble it out. Or I just kind of went through and just was playing around with the new thick skin up here and the alphas and just kind of playing around with some stuff in there. So from this, you know, and again, this is just a concept mesh, just a couple days worth of messing around. And then I want to say, did I do an example of this? This was rendered in ZBrush and Keyshot so that I could go into Photoshop and clean it up later. But there's also some fun stuff you can do if you're not, you know, so here's the, you know, go through and use Transpose Master to pose out this, and then go through to Photoshop and just do your dirt and your edges and your glows and stuff like that. However, up here, no UV look dev is another good one too. So this one you can throw straight into Substance Painter, Marmoset. We can maybe do that real quick. You can check those out. maybe that's what I'll do. I'll just take something that's been done. Let me see, load recording or streaming. Commander. Oh, this will be fun. Oh, we're not in there. Let's do that. Let's go in here to Mario World. So say I wanted to, first we want to pose this guy out. So we're going to go in here to see plugin. Sorry, my mouth is dry. We're going to go in here to Transpose Master, T-Pose Mesh. It's going to put all of our things into one mesh here. We had subdivision history, which is good. So now I can go through here. I can be like, okay, you know what? I want to pose this guy out. Control Shift Drag, select lasso, Control Shift A. Oh boy, is his body really not separate? Okay, it is. So I can go through here and I can be like, okay, let's go ahead and kind of pose him out, move him around a little bit. I didn't really give him enough neck. I'm realizing real fast. That's okay, because we can invert this. Let's go in here to hide point. That's in your visibility menu. Maybe, there it is. And now we can go through here and we can actually mask this neck out here. So now I can give myself a little wiggle room. There you go. So he's looking to the side here. He can be raising his arm up here. So let's go ahead and isolate just his body. And then we'll go down, hold down Control, and we'll just mask his arm out. Tap the. Oops. And again, I'm just masking and inverting and then unmasking things. So as I'm moving his arm, his bracelet, little gauntlet thing will come with it. So let's say, again, this might, extreme pose might require a little bit of cleanup on my end, but that's okay. So he'll go through here, and then if we want to bend at the elbow, we'll go ahead and mask right through here, and then we'll drop this in here. Okay, we're just kind of positioning these bones. You can use transpose lines for this, might work a little bit better. Didn't really come into this with a pose that I wanted to hit, really. This will be kind of a pain. Go through here and grab this thumb, invert that W. Posing fingers can be kind of tedious, but just very quickly go through here, or as quick as you can, and kind of just grab the mask that you need, and then invert that mask. And go through here and pose. Make sure your axis is down the bone, so that as you're rotating, it doesn't break. And again, we may have to go in here and do quite a bit of cleanup too. So he can be eating an apple or something. So let's go ahead and isolate his body just again. Oof, back myself into a corner here. Getting his hand out of his mouth so I can see a little bit better. Okay, so I got his arm down. Also on this side, select lasso. We'll go ahead and switch that back. Again, we're just going to mask this arm, invert that mask. Oops. So just his arm is masked, and we're going to mask this other stuff over here. Those are in their own poly groups, so it should be pretty easy to go through there. We'll go ahead and drop his arm down just a little bit here, and this will be our little quick pose. So let's go ahead and say T-pose mesh, T-pose sub T. That'll go through and move everything back around. And this is where I can do a little bit of cleanup. So like on the shoulder over here, we'll alt tap the body now. It's on its back on its own subtool. We have subdivision history in here. So we can drop that down to level 2, go through here, and we'll kind of, turn off X symmetry. And we'll go through here and again do a little bit of corrective sculpting on here. It's actually, use our move brush, clay brush, smooth brush, and again just kind of clean this up just a little bit. Okay, so we'll go out of solo mode here. And if you want to see the making of the shell, actually this shell isn't that great. Maybe we'd have to rebuild that, but anyway, we've got this here. I'm going to go ahead and turn on our floor, and this will be, you know, the pose where we want to store this at. Let's go out of live boolean. I don't know why that was on. And then we're going to go in here to document, turn off proportional. We're going to do a quick 800 by 800. Basically, we're just making it square. It doesn't matter what the size really is. Resize the document, drag this back out, go into edit mode, do another quick save. And this is going to be our camera view. Now, one thing I do want to do, let's see how it works. Let's see how well it does. We can always just do it manually too. So we're going to say, okay, I want to texture this guy up. So we're going to say, okay, save this. We're going to go in here to Z plugin. And we're going to go over here to our ZBrush Compositor. 24/8 is fine, and we're going to create a, you can do a tool bag or a substance composite. I do both in that one I sent out. It's going through and it's going to render my passes here. So it's going to give me my normal maps and my, oh, you know what? I should have smoothed his body all the way up. And we'll give that a second. Cool. Oh, thank you for the kind words, John. Say the way to say the floor elevation. I want to set the floor elevation 0 every time I export the model. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, if store config, if preferences config, store config doesn't work, unfortunately, I don't know if there is a way to force it. Or one thing you could do is you could save a project, a Z project that has like a sphere in it, and then do all the settings that you want. And then when you load up ZBrush in your Lightbox, just put that scene in your Z projects, and then just double click that so it loads up that Z project with all those weird settings that config doesn't do. So we'll go ahead and click this button over here. So now we have this guy ready to do what we need to do with. However, what I didn't do is the body, we dropped it down. So I need to smooth that out because that will show up in the texture. There we go. So now he's smooth. We'll go ahead and again, pick whatever pose you'd like to render to, and then go right back in here, and we'll send this back over to Substance. Sorry about that. Rifle ideation series. Yeah. Let me see if I can find that. That might actually just be on my YouTube. I don't think I bothered putting that on my ArtStation. Right here, the speed modeling and texturing. This is a quick way to kind of, this isn't the flat version. If you did want to do, this one has kind of just doing a quick automated game res and UV. Same thing with the pistol series, the sci-fi pistol series. I also have this Houdini game dev tool set, and also this Houdini auto game res if you want to use Houdini for quick automatic stuff. Oh, you know what? It's doing all my polygroups too. So the material ID it's giving me is based on polygroups, which is not exactly what I want. Sorry, I'm gonna have to do this again. Yeah, that'd probably be easier if I did. Oh, got you. Okay. Yeah, that deform menu is right here. Here's another thing I need to do. I'm going to go through here. I need to hit Control W. All these subtools are built out pretty well, so I'm just going to go down here and just hit Control W. I don't need polygroups or anything like that. I just need their different subtools to have different material IDs. I could manually go through here and color fill, but I'm hoping that this will be fine. One more time. There we go. The deformation menu, oh sorry, is when you hit W, you'll see a little gear icon next to the gizmo. That's the deformation menu I was using. Cool. Are these streams being recorded? Yeah, you can always go back to my YouTube channel, and again, on my playlist, look for the big blue genie, and that'll be all my live stream episodes. This one doesn't go back quite as far as my ZBrush. I don't know, I don't have access to the original videos I made for this because I don't think I ever recorded them. These ones go back a little bit further, but up to a certain point, they start matching my channel. So here's my ZBrush. When I stream for Pixel Logic, that's where that channel is. And then of course my YouTube channel, live stream, previous episodes are all through there. Cool. Okay, I think we're good to go, finally. So ZBrush Compositor. So this is a cool thing. It's just basically a plane in here. So if I go through and we grab display, and then way down here you can show your mesh wireframe. It's literally just a plane with displacement map. Speaking of displacement map, we can go to the shader here, and here's our displacement. So our scale set to 0.5, so we can kind of make this more or less out. So if we go through here, we hold down Shift, and let's go back to our display so we can turn off our wireframe. That way that'll give us kind of rudimentary shadows we can pass around. Of course, we don't have shadows turned on, so you're not going to see a ton of those, but we'll go back in here and we'll turn on our... Ooh, we don't have any emissive yet, but we'll add some emissive. Maybe that is under display story. Very top shadows, intensive, and then now as we pass that, geez, Shift, Control, Shift. Sorry, I'm used to key shot now. Here's all the opacity. This stuff you don't really need to worry about too much. I'm going to go ahead and close that folder down. Textures, color, Polypaint. Here we do have a material ID, so if I go into my textures, boy, it's been a while since I've been there. Texture settings, move this down just a little bit here. Oh, come on. Window, reset UI, properties, texture settings, there we go. Down here you're going to see we do have an ID map based on my poly groups, so we can go through here quickly and we can kind of add Shift right click. Geez. There we go. Shift right click. Okay, so there's my lights here. This is just poly painted white. We could have poly painted this guy and then brought it in, and then we could use our poly paint. But in this instance, we can just go through here and we'll just do, you know what? I don't even need this. We'll just make a toy. So we're going to go through here with our layers. We're going to make a new fill layer, and we'll call this green plastic. So just like any fill layer in here, you can say, okay, what color green do you want? And then do you want it to be metallic? No, we want it to be plastic, so we'll keep it on plastic. Do you want it to be shiny? Do you want it to be matte? We'll make it semi-shiny in here, and all the other stuff we want to do. So that'll be just kind of the base kind of sitting at the bottom here. You know what, let's look up. I don't really know what his colors are. Oh boy, he's got yellows and greens. That'll actually be a little more interesting. Good. So here's what I'm looking at. So it looks like his head is green plastic. So in here, you know what? Let's do yellow plastic. So I'm going to just duplicate this, Control D. We'll call this yellow plastic. We'll turn off green plastic temporarily because yellow plastic. We're just going to change that color to something a little more yellow. And then green on top. We just want this to be applied to his head. We're going to add a mask with, let me see if I can just, there we go. Add a black mask, and on this black mask, actually we'll do this. We'll do a black mask with color selection. Add mask color selection here, pick color, and we'll just pick his chrome dome right there. Then for his face, go ahead and duplicate this off. And we'll go ahead and make this kind of a tan. We can actually click and drag over here, and I can just borrow this. And this one we're going to say, we'll do another one. And then we'll pick another color here. Bada bing. And there we go. So then if we want to paint his eyes black, we'll make his eyes super shiny. So one more fill layer here. Now let's do eyes. Go ahead and make this very, very dark and a little more rough. There we go. And instead of using, let's just add a black mask. And on here, I'm going to go over and we're going to select those polygons. So we're going to say all the objects, make it white here. Nope. That's right. This isn't separate geometry. Why would I do that? So here's what we're going to do. We can manually go in here. If we can't do mask with color selection, which we may not be able to do because these are the same color, we just literally have to go in here and we'll say we'll kill that one. And you know what? I always like to have a little paint layer in here. We'll right click this and we'll say add paint. Go ahead and control, sharpen that up a little bit, and you can go through here and you can literally just paint with that material on here. So that would have been a good thing to catch. And that's the danger you run, like having anything do that for you. And we'll go ahead and tap X to go out of X symmetry, or not X symmetry, but X to switch to black to white in this program for our mask purposes. And now we can go through here and we can just kind of clean this up a little bit. But yeah, if I would have gone through manually, it would have taken me 2 more minutes, but would have saved me 2 minutes of doing this. So don't cut corners. What I end up doing is I'll cut corners on, you know, while I'm live streaming. I'll be like, ah, it'll be fine. I don't need to do that. And then I end up spending like 40 minutes backtracking and doing a bunch of cleanup stuff. So don't be like me. There we go. Okay, so we've got eyeballs here, and what else? You know what? He's got some metal on here, which is good. So we're going to go ahead and you can create a fill layer. We can go down here to materials, and we just do a search for metal, and we just put on some metal here. Oops, let's go ahead and make a new fill layer here, and we'll just color this with cobalt or iron brushed or platinum. And these are all just material metals. You can also go in here to smart masks, or not smart masks, smart materials, and there's like metal with stuff in it and dirt and scratches, stuff like that, but we can do that all manually. He's pretty clean looking. So again, this will just actually, so I don't have to name this, I'll just drag. What are we looking for? Let's do steel. Steel rough. Throw it right in here. And again, mask with color selection. Pick. Here. Where else does he have stuff? And on this one, let's go ahead and drop this tolerance. Oof. Okay, good. For the hair and the eyebrows, that's orange. So one more time, we'll just take this one, duplicate it off, mask with color selection. We'll go ahead and make this orange. I'm just going to select from the picture here. Cross our fingers. We don't have to do anything crazy. There we go. And then for the shell, that looks green, so I'm just going to steal the green here, and we'll go ahead and pick this color here. Let me see. It looks like he has orange around. Come on, give me a back view. Yeah, looks like just orange around that too. So you know what? Let's see if we can just do that. And then his actual things are kind of like his face, so we'll use this one. Yay! That worked out easily. And then right around here is just white. So we don't know, I don't necessarily know if we want to do pure white. Oops. Mask with, we want to keep that color selection, but we want it to be this one, and we're going to change this to, again, not pure white. Maybe throw a little bit of cyan in there and maybe darken it down just a bit. And, oh, up on his ears too. Same deal with those ones. Orange, pick here, and then color, pick here. Oh, teeth. Teeth is white. Here, and then claws are white. Belly is face. And finally, something I probably should have polypainted in ZBrush is this thing here, but you know what, that'll be fine. So we're gonna go ahead and just take this white plastic. Actually, let's take this white plastic, duplicate it off. Since this is cloth, we're going to we're gonna kill these color selectors, and we're gonna pick this, and we're gonna make it matte. So we're gonna take this, instead of it being kind of shiny, we want it to be pretty matte. Although Alt, yeah, I guess that's working. I'm not seeing a whole lot of difference there. I guess because the light wasn't really shining on it. We also don't have to stick with that light. We can go in here to our display properties, go in here to panorama, and we can do, you know, change the lighting scenario here. If we want to see that, we can turn the environment opacity back up and turn the environment blur down so we can see what our lighting environment actually looks like. Glazed patio, there we go. This would be more of a daytime scene here. But honestly, I guess it wasn't too bad. The panorama actually worked good enough, I think. So there's that. Let's go back in here. And yeah, I guess we'll blur that out and opacity down. So we've got our little Bowser Jr. guy. I don't see any. I mean, I guess if we wanted to dirty him up a little bit, we could. We can go right here to the top, and we'll just put in a little bit of dirt. We're going to add a fill layer. Oops, not a filter just yet. And then on this fill layer, let's go over here to our dirt grunges. And we'll just kind of model this up a little bit. So here's some grungy dirt. We'll just drop that right into our fill base color. And then the other stuff, we can just dial in. So the roughness, we want the dirt to be pretty rough. So wherever it's dark and wherever it's light, I want to be different colors. So on top of this, I'm going to put in a filter now. And then this filter, we're going to go ahead and do a gradient. The gradient, I only really want to affect my color. So over here where it's dark values, I'm going to make that be like dark brown. And then we'll go ahead and pick maybe a little bit of a lighter brown. And then maybe we'll go ahead and pick an even lighter brown, maybe make that a little more yellowy. So that way it's not just plain dirt, it's kind of scattered dirt. And then on top of this, we can add a mask where the dirt needs to go. We'll go ahead and just add a generator. And in that generator, we'll put dirt. So now, oops, we want to do a black mask and then dirt generator where this goes. There we go. So then as we dial this in, it'll kind of collect, you know, in the little crevices of this guy. I don't know if there's any real opportunity here for emissive. We could take his eyes and make him emissive if we wanted to have a little bit more fun with that. So we go in here to texture settings, and we're going to go in here to our channels. We need to add an emissive chip, not glossiness. We're not doing that nonsense. We're doing emissive here. So now I have an emissive channel. And then for the eyeballs here, we'll change the base color. We'll make him real evil. And then down here under the, we need to add, turn emissive on. And you know what? When we're doing emissive stuff, I like to make it a little rougher. So it's not like shiny emissive, it's just going to be a matte emissive. But we'll go through here and make this a little bit orange for that emissive. Doesn't look super impressive. This is where you can start dialing in that emissive intensity. And then also playing that against the Activate Effects glare. Turn the glare on. And then we'll just change this to bloom. Like so. So now, as you pass this around, you'll get that nice emissive look. You can also throw this in an eye ray. I don't know how well it'll render an eye ray with emissive. I think it'll keep our settings, I think. What I don't know is if it'll keep the opacity. Letting it warm up here. Warm up, warm up. There we go. And then in here we have to go. Sorry, didn't realize I was that full. You can do surface over scattering in here. I don't know that it might work. It probably won't work that well. But we go in here to clear color. Let's drop this down. And again, you can change your environment type. Shift, no, control, no, shift right click. Change the lighting on here. And let that warm up. Oops, I forgot to do the nails down here. So that's where we need to go back into our layers here. White plastic color selection pick. These all nails down here. Everything else looks okay. Should be already warmed up, so it should go a little bit faster. And there you go. We got a textured Bowser. Oof. Guess it wasn't as warmed up as I thought. Everything in there. His skin looks a little bit shiny. We'll go in here and we'll make that roughness a little bit higher. Anyway. Okay, I missed a bunch, and it's 8 o'clock, but I'll see if I can get caught up here. create a paint layer down the road. You wanted that paint layer to say include roughness. Can you somehow get that back? Yeah, you should be able to just turn it. If you create a paint layer down the road, you forget you wanted that paint layer to include a roughness. Yeah, so if you have something that's turned off and it's like, yeah, you know what, for this one, I'm not going to include roughness, so I'm going to turn it off. If I understand the question, you should be able to just turn it back on. If you've done anything fancy, so like I turned off roughness on this one, on his face, and you can see it kind of goes from shiny to matte because it's inheriting whatever roughness is beneath him. But you should be able to turn that back on and be like, oh, you know what, I want this particular roughness to be particularly dialed in. Cool. Again, I apologize. I am, yeah, streams are being recorded. Let's see, A-Cube's dirty sculpting method. I'm not sure what that is. Character stuff. My main courses are probably just going to be Gumroad, Cube Brush, some on flip normals. I'm trying to think where else they might be. Yeah, bring your roughness back. Let's see. Maya. You can store all this if you wanted a 2D angle, except for all the stuff you painted manually. Yeah. Okay, so let's do that. Let's go in here. Oh, you know, yeah, I should still say the same. Good point. So here we have textures color. I'm going to go ahead and rename this to. Good call. Let's go ahead and right click this and save this as a smart material. So there's our Bowser Jr. smart material. Let's go back into ZBrush and let's say, you know what? Yeah, I want to do an orthographic view. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. In fact, okay. Yeah, so let's say we want to do just a front view here. So in fact, you can actually do in my, speaking of Gumroad, so what I just did, you can follow along. A lot more examples in this No UVs look dev right here. So you can check that out. However, on my Gumroad here, there is a few extra examples and stuff in this one. And also you get to have all the 3D files. So in this one here, you can download the truck. I give you the truck Z tool, the Scarab Z tool, Ernie Bot, Mech Skin, Sci-Fi Pistol, Color Swatch. So in here, if you go here, we do the Ernie Bot here, and we also do multiple views. So you can actually do multiple views of a weapon. It's a little bit hacky. It's not getting that perspective is actually manipulating the geometry. It's the only way I could get it to work. But you can check this out too if you want to see all that or have access to all those models. Absolutely. So this, I think that's all you'll need. If you're into that type of thing, you can check those out there. But like I was saying, so now we want to do another view, but we don't want to have to do all the texturing again, right? And also I want to say, let's go ahead and turn that smoothness up. Or we'll turn on dynamic with a smooth subdiv of 1 just to get a little more smooth out of that. And also I think the metal came out a little janky. Okay, so if we want to render this again, ZBrush Compositor. Let's go ahead and we've got our smart material, so this will be easy. Create substance composite. Let it do its thing. I'll try to get caught up. And again, if I missed any, I apologize. I spent too much time not looking over here. UE4 lighting, cool. We're doing a new 2D angle. Yes. Pluralsight, digital tutors. Oh, cool. Thanks, John. Yeah, this is one of the funner ways to kind of do things as opposed to jump through a bunch of hoops. Just trying to get quick. Explain your process exporting to Marmoset. Yeah, it would be kind of the same thing. And in fact, I won't be able to get to it, but literally this one right here will explain how to get doing exactly what I'm doing into Marmoset and using Marmoset's texturing and lighting and all that good stuff. It'll be all in there. In fact, I'll also show you how to go from Substance to Marmoset too if you want to do that. So the world is your oyster. But now we have this. We can do, okay, we got our new view. We can go down here to our smart materials and we can look for our BOWSER Junior. We're going to put that right in here into textures color. And then anything we painted is going to show up wrong, like the eyeballs that we painted. Oh, I should have changed the eyeballs. But that's okay. We can go right through here. Since we haven't done just a paint layer, just right click that, get rid of that, and then we'll add a paint. One thing it didn't save in this particular file was our emissive that we had turned on. So we got to go back in here, turn our emissive back on, and then as we paint the eyeball, let's go in here again. We'll turn on our, display shadows, and then down here, activate post effects, glare, bloom. So as we're painting this eyeball, everything will pop back into place. That was the one thing, whenever you do anything painted, you know, you are going to have to go back in here and, control, there we go, harden that up. X. And this one does have emissive, right? Emissive. Oh, we have to go in here and change the emissive intensity because that doesn't stay between. You know what else? No, I don't think we could have done that. Never mind. Forget I mentioned that. Boy, it's on the shader. Emissive intensity. There we go. So now I can be even sloppier because that post process is hiding a lot of my, easy. Yeah, so that way a little bit quicker. And that would be another thing too, if you wanted to, back in ZBrush, like I was saying, it would have been better if we would have painted this. We can literally go through here and we can pass our polypaint through as well. So if we want to do polypaint on this, do we have UVs on this thing? If we don't, that's no big deal. So we can go in here to Z plugin, and we can say UV master, polygroups. Oof, I don't even know if I have polygroups on here. Sorry. Let me just do a group by normals. I'm going to keep these two on the same polygroup here, so we'll have a front and a back polygroup. Unwrap, symmetry, use polygroups, flatten. Oops, sorry. Yeah, we should have worked on a clone, but that's okay. I think we got it. So now we can go down here to UV map, and we can say morph UV, and then literally we can just paint on here what he needs to be painted on. And on this case, look dev, yada, yada, yada. Where is my Bowser Jr. reference? I deleted it. You know what? Let's do Bowser Jr. bib. See if I can't just, oh yeah. Close enough. Scribbled color on there. Okay. This will work out just fine. Open image in new tab. Okay, that's fine. Save image as desktop, texture, import. So now this is on the front of his bib here. And again, we're going to turn on RGB. We can actually turn off X symmetry to not to be symmetrical. Shift Z, we can morph UV back. If I had a higher resolution image, that would work better, but that's okay. So now, as we pass this through, we can use that as our polypaint. So when we send this back over, that polypaint will pick up in Substance Painter, which I closed. But anyway, that'll be the closed Substance Painter. Whew. Anyways, cool. 2 minute intro is what you're doing. I am signing off. Thanks, everybody. I did everything one in Substance Painter and Blender. Could you do everything that one does in Substance Painter and Blender? Also, do you absolutely need it? Good luck with that. That sounds like a fun project. Let me know how that turns out. Probably. You could do, in fact, here's a cool thing. Anything I'm doing ever in 3D, I can also do in Houdini. Setting all that up, boy, that's a different story. Prioritize Microsoft very fancy zones on the screen to snap your windows always in the layout you want. Very useful ultra wide monitors, blah, blah. Yeah, what was that? Yes, a couple people I work with do some really fancy stuff with like different desktop displays and snapping their stuff. I'm usually pretty vanilla. Cool. When it's make a paint layer not fill. Oh, is there a way to re-add another channel you forgot to add? Oh, so when you're in the paint layer. Ooh, yeah, that'd be tougher because, yeah, wherever you're doing your paint strokes, it's only applying and painting on the channels that you would want. So in that case, you could turn on, you go back into that paint layer on your brush, only paint roughness, but yeah, you'd have to literally go back in, I think. You should be able to still paint with roughness on the paint layer as long as that channel is turned on. But it would be a bunch of manual painting. Cool. Thank you, Alex. And I'll try to stream more. I hate having to do this just once a month, but one day. Substance ZBrush video, yeah. Cool, cool. Awesome. Yeah, I wasn't, you know what, there might be, it's been a while since I've done a deep dive in Substance, so someone out there may have an answer for like, oh, you can do this cool thing that I have no clue about, because it's been a while since I've been in there. Cool. Thanks, everybody. I will see y'all on the next thing we do, probably in a month, but I'll try to do it a little bit sooner.